that we are up and running now. Sorry, everybody, we're late. If you're just joining us, my name is Michelle Osborne. I'm the Communications and Program Development Coordinator for the Quebec City Reading Council. And I also coordinate the project for Community Learning in Action. And if you do not know, we are focusing on digital literacy this year. And we did a session, a webinar I think it was 2 weeks ago, and it was all about branding and the importance of personal branding. And I wanted to do a Facebook Live with someone who has had those challenges and who is successful, who runs her own business. And I thought it would be really, really great to talk to her. So we are live with Thabi Nyoni. Hi, Thabi, how are you?
Hi, Michelle, and hi to everyone in the group. Tell them a bit about how we met.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that because it's really interesting. I went to I guess it was a seminar, full 2-day seminar with Canada Learning Code, who is one of the big partners of Quebec City Reading Council. And you were there too. You were a mentor there, actually, helping people who don't know really anything about coding. They're helping us get through all the stuff of the day. And I sat with Thabi. She was one of the people who was helping me get my stuff together. And we just really hit it off. And I found her story really, really interesting. And I think it's a story that a lot of people can resonate with. So first, I want to ask you, Thabi, tell everybody kind of where you're from and how you came to live in Quebec.
Awesome. So picture this, January 2001, in the middle of a snowstorm, I arrive in Montreal to find out it's a French-speaking city. I had absolutely no clue. My first inclination to it, and I remember the immigration officer saying, "So are you going to catch a bus to Toronto?" And I was like, what is he on about? Montreal's my destination. This is where I'm at. This is exactly where I need to be. Within the first 5 minutes, I realized all the signage, everything, and it was a reality check. And it's like, okay, time to readjust and adjust to the scenario. This is it. So you can't change where you are. So time to adjust. And I literally hit the ground running. So I came to Montreal in 2001. So it's officially 18 years that I've lived in Canada as an Anglophone. I migrated from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is an English-speaking country. Although there are other languages, Ndebele, Zulu, Shona, Kalanga, but English is the formal communication.
It's the primary language.
It's the primary language, yes.
Okay. And so why did you decide to move from Zimbabwe to Quebec? Like, what was that decision about?
It was one of those moments where you're young and traveling is not a risk. And I was like, okay, I can definitely, Canada, let me see. Let me go check it out, go see what it's all about, go see the snow. We used to see snow on TV. Seeing and feeling are two different things. I arrived in a pair of jeans. I remember I was in a blue pair of jeans, a jacket that I thought was sufficient, shoes that I thought would get me through the winter, and socks. I quickly realized I was insufficiently dressed for the temperatures. So that is
culture shock. And so
winter
when you
shock.
came here,
More
though,
than culture shock, winter shock.
Did you know that it was a French-speaking place?
I'm sorry?
Did you know it was a French-speaking place when you came here?
I did not. I knew that Canada was an English-speaking country. And McGill, Concordia were English-speaking universities. So all the information I had looked up, there was no indication that it's a French city. And keep in mind, this was 18 years ago. Google was not a thing. There was no social media. And there were no friends. Yeah. Writing to someone overseas was literally a letter back then, if I remember.
Oh, yes, pen and paper. How can we forget about pen and paper?
And that's how much technology has changed, right? And just look at this. It's just been less than 2 decades. And technology has totally taken a complete revolution.
Yeah. And so when you came here, you were single, right? You
Yes,
didn't
I
have
was.
kids.
No, I did not.
So it wasn't a risk. You're like, I'm going to go on this adventure and I'm going to do the best I can. And so you move here and you start to build a life for yourself. I think you
I
met
started
somebody,
working.
you had kids.
Yes, I started
So
working.
did you start working in English?
Yes, I got an English speaking job. One of the few English speaking jobs. So it was an English speaking company. It was an American company based in Montreal. And that's literally the start of my business story. So I got this job. I hated every day of it. I woke up every day and hated it. But my options were limited because of the fact that I'm English speaking. So I stayed there and I said to myself, I need to create a plan, because if I lose this job, this English speaking job, my chances of getting another one are going to be very limited, and also my skill
Yep.
set. So what can I do? So literally, I got married. So I got married, had a beautiful wedding, and I remember the guy at the reception that I was with. I was like, I really enjoyed this process, and I really want to go into business. I know that's what I'm destined to do. Can you give me some ideas? What can I do? And he's like, well, what can you do? And what can you bring to the table? And I was like, well, I am a graphic designer. I enjoy working on the computer. Again, this was early 2000. So this is like 2004, 2005. And I really connected with this guy. And so he gave me the advice and he was like, this is how you need to set up a business. This is what you can do. And I remember I did a test run. And I remember telling my then husband that I'm going to buy some stuff from China. And the look on his face was total, what are you talking about? So I decided, you know what, let me launch in silence. So I went
Oh,
online.
that's a really great advice actually for anybody who's watching, launching and doing your thing in silence instead of broadcasting every step of the way, because it makes it much more difficult.
It makes it difficult, and the world is waiting to see you fail. That's one thing that I experienced, and I experienced it a lot because I'm an immigrant. What are you doing? That's not the plan. You're losing the focus. Get a job, make money, send it back home, look after your family. That's the focus. That's the narrative for an immigrant. Unfortunately, I'm that person who doesn't fit in a circle. I'm a square and I like to experiment, and I'm in a first world country, and I felt I can't, this is not the life for me. I felt it wasn't enough. I hated my job and I knew at some point this job is going to end. So I need to make it work for me. So I remember going online, doing my research, finding a couple of stuff, and then I found somebody in China, and they said they could sell me some stuff, and I really want to paint the picture of how crazy that was. That was in 2005, and he said, go to PayPal and send $100, and I'll send you samples. Oof, how am I going to tell my husband that I am going to send money to a guy in China and I'm
But you
not
don't
sure he'll
know.
receive anything? So I did do it. I silently did it. I sent the money, and the samples came a couple of weeks later. Okay, so now I have the samples. I love everything. Let me start my business. So I started my business. What am I going to do? I'm an English speaking girl. I started writing English proposals to hotels in the city. And I landed a contract with the Delta Montreal. So that's
Wow.
yep. And I was their official supplier for a long time, over 10 years. I was their official decorator for all their events, and that's how I officially started. And I want to emphasize, it was an English proposal that I sent to a five-star hotel, renowned hotel in Montreal, and it was an email, actually. It was an email I sent. They asked me to come in for a meeting. We set up a meeting. I was nervous as hell. The two things that I'm not mentioning. First of all, I'm a black woman. In 2001, I'm English speaking. And they gave me a chance. And I will never forget that opportunity that they gave me. I sent multiple emails to other locations around the world. Around Montreal. I didn't get a response, but that one response was enough for me to go crazy, and I hit the ground running.
And it's so, if you're just joining us, we have a couple new people joining us. I'm talking to Thabi Nyoni, who is an English-speaking entrepreneur in Quebec and who immigrated from Zimbabwe and is hugely successful in her business. And I find her fascinating, interesting. I think she has a great story to tell. And she just told us how, she got her first chance with a huge hotel in Quebec. You were brave enough and bold enough to say, hey, I can do this for you. And they gave you, an immigrant, it's important to say that, a chance. They took a chance on you. And I think a lot of people in Quebec can resonate with this story because we are, and you're still really only English speaking. You don't speak a lot of French, right? I think you speak enough to get by right now.
I speak enough to get by, but the reality is, it's very important as well that I mentioned that although I was English speaking, all communication was in English, I didn't have to face their clients, which was the success in it. So they handled all the communication and I did all my invoicing. Of course, I complied with the French rules. So my invoicing was in French, but to communicate in French, I never communicated in French. And it was because they were open-minded.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Because they were open-minded and they allowed that experience. Because I showed up with my bag of samples, by the way. I didn't tell them it was a bag of samples and I'm taking a chance with you and you're taking a risk. I didn't expose that part. I played the part of a big shot company. And they say, fake it till you make it. And that's literally what I did. So what happened is...
Now, we have this comment.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to point something out. We have this comment from someone who said they worked with you before and they learned a lot about commitment and sacrifice that when it comes to what you love to do, right?
It's not only that I love to do it. I want to emphasize again, I was an immigrant. I didn't know much of Canada. I remember the first place I visited was Trois-Rivières. That's when I realized, oh no. We stood out like a sore thumb. We were Black and we were English speaking, and that was hard. And that was a time where it wasn't okay to say I'm Black. But now it's very important. That's the first thing you say when you introduce yourself, because the government is all about diversity now. Companies want to hire diversity. They want to meet their diverse quotas. So why not stand out and say it? Boldly say it. I'm a young Black entrepreneur and I'm here and this is what I can do for you and this is the influence I bring to the table, or this is what I can do for you. For example, when we met, you stood out to me. Of all the women in the room, you stood out to me. Why? Because you were shining bright and you weren't hiding. It was a confusing thing. It was a new experience for everybody, but you were who you were, regardless of what it was. And it's very important as a minority to know who you are when you walk in a room. And I do that all the time, and I always gain the attention of who I want to be. So for example, I dressed intentionally today. I intentionally dressed this way. I intentionally dressed so I could represent who I am, that I'm from Zimbabwe, and I wanted it to stand out. It's always a conversation piece. So if I know I want to get the attention of someone in a room, I will dress a certain way because I want to get the attention. If I dressed in all Black, no earrings, regular earrings, gold studs, no one would really walk up to me. I've been to events where, ambassadors will come up to me. Me, I don't speak French. I'm an immigrant. I still stand as an immigrant today, and I'm a Black woman. But they will come up to me and say, hi, who are you? What do you do? And I began to notice that. And then I was like, I could harness this. I can get an event out of this. I can promote myself. So I'm going to always, whenever I have to show up, I'm going to show up. Bright colors and stand out every time.
Well, it's I hope people really take something from this, because being intentful with who you are and what you do is hugely important. Being authentic. I think, you know, sometimes immigrants come here and they want to blend in and not show who they really are because they're afraid that they won't get any opportunities. But I have learned, even though I am not an immigrant, I'm a migrant, but I might as well be an immigrant because literally if you have language barrier challenges and you're a person of color, you are not considered from Quebec. Let's just put that out there. And so I've learned that being more authentically who I am, people want to know me more and they want to work with me more. They don't want to necessarily take someone that already blends in. They want to have somebody who actually stands out. And I think that's a really important lesson and something that you touched on that was really important. And so tell me some of the hardest things that you had to learn as you immigrated here and as you start. Well, first tell us what your business is right now. Let's talk about what your business is, and then we'll talk about some of the hardest things and some of the lessons that you learned.
Okay, so my business right now is I work mainly with women entrepreneurs. I work mainly with women because I can identify the woman who doesn't know how to set up her business, the woman who's trying to, can I really do it? So if I had the encouragement that I am to others now, I would have escalated or scaled myself up way faster. I had no resources. I had myself and my computer and Google. That was it. And the confidence in taking a risk. So I work with women and literally hold their hands and tell them, oh yeah, it's going to be a risk. Oh yeah, it's going to be a bumpy ride. You might lose some money here. But if you don't take the risk, how much are you missing out on? So I remember I have a lady, one client I had in Ontario. I met her at a film festival. And she was like, I really want to launch my movie. I have a movie. I wrote a book. And literally, this is how the talk. I have a book. I wrote a book. I want to convert it to a movie. In my head, light bulb, light bulb, light bulb, light bulb. I'm like, listen, let's connect after the event. This is what I can do for you. And most of the time, it's the simplest of things. She was struggling. I don't want to use the word struggling. She was hesitant to begin her journey in the movie world. And she had all these Nigerian celebrities in her movie, but she didn't have the next steps to get the movie out there. So I said to her, okay, so I'll register your business for you. It's going to be $800 to register your business. It's not $800 to register a business, but I saw a method to monetize and help her get to where she needs to be at the same time, make money for myself. And I said to her, okay, so I've registered your business with the City of Ontario. This is what you need. This is what you have. And she was officially registered. And now her movie is going to launch soon. And I'm going to be part of the team that gets to market it. So those are some of the things.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's super amazing. And it's an industry that I have no knowledge of. But the knowledge I have is how to run a business. And it's a template.
And you know, it's all about taking a chance, right? And I think that's the hardest thing for people is they want to stay in their comfort zone. I always tell people who want to be entrepreneurs this: it is not easy. It will never be easy from beginning to end. There's going to be no time when it's easy because your business evolves and changes over time. So there's always going to be challenges. You're going to fail probably more than you succeed. But once you can succeed, you will fly. It is not a sprint. It is a marathon, because a lot of people want success overnight. And it doesn't happen overnight. You know, they see Instagram stars and Facebook people and they think, oh, you know, how did they become? Guess what? A lot of times these people have been working for 10 plus years before they are who they are. And I think one of the things that you did really well as you were speaking was you were bold enough to put yourself out there and say, yes, I can do this for you, but I got to pay my bills too. And
right
that's
now,
okay.
I want to add quickly, right now I am the treasurer. I'm a voluntary position. I'm sitting on the board of my daughter's school. My daughter goes to French school, 100% French school. Again, I don't speak French. I'm the treasurer on the board. And I was voted in as an Anglophone because I put myself out there and I said, this is what I can do. I can do it in English, but this is what I can do. Do you want me to work for you? Yes or no? Let's do this. And it was a resounding, yeah, sure, we'll take the Anglophone on the board. So if you do not,
Well,
nothing
yeah.
is going to change.
Well, we had this great conversation when the first thing you told me was that you need to be able to say, I'm an English speaker, I'm an Anglophone, this is what I can do for you. And you have to be okay saying that, knowing that some people will work with you and some people won't work with you, and you have to get over it.
Yep.
So either your decision is to do that and get over it, or go to school full time and try to speak French and do it that way. But really and truly, you need to get over the fact that there is going to be that challenge, that you should still try to learn the language of where you live so you can get by. But we are also in a digital age where you can work anywhere from anywhere and do anything,
Yep.
really. But you have to be bold enough and brave enough to do that, right?
And sometimes I'm scared as hell, but I'm like, I need to get that contact. I need them to know who I am. Here's my business card. Give me a call. I have an ambassador from one of the African countries who came to me and said, who are you? What do you do? And I always find that intriguing because they're expecting, they come to me because they think that I will say I'm the ambassador of wherever, or this is what I stand for, because I'm so bold. And I'm like, I work mainly with women, and I encourage women to open up their businesses and start their businesses, and take advantages of opportunities. I mean, we're in Canada. There's multiple financing for women in business. So I like to encourage that. And they were like, can I have your card? I need to talk to you. This is going to be great for our community and then everything just becomes a ripple effect. And and then every time afterwards, I'm like, I always have to remind myself, I'm just a girl from Zimbabwe. I'm just a girl from Zimbabwe. But if I live in that, I will always be just a girl from Zimbabwe. But my question to myself is, what is my impact to the world? If I die today, why can I say I contributed to the world? And what can my children, most importantly, say, wow, my mom did this? I never told my daughter I was on the committee on her school because she's young and she's impressionable. So I had to reveal it. I revealed it about 2 weeks ago. And she's like, why were you talking to that woman? Is she your friend? And I said, no, we work together at the school. And she says, you work at the school? What do you do exactly? I count money for the school and make sure that it's all tallied together. She's 8, by the way. I make sure that it's all tallied together and then we consolidate and put it in the bank. I had to make sure she understood that. And she says, oh, okay, so when we order pizza, that money comes to you? And I was like, yeah, that's your mom. And she was like,
well, it's putting it simply, yes, yeah. That's what it is.
She's like, can I tell my friends? And I was like, not yet. Yeah, so I need to leave an impression for my kids.
Yes, absolutely. And we don't have a lot of time left, and literally I could talk about this and with you like all day, every day, and we have conversations, but can you give people some advice around branding or business strategy, or some secrets or tips that you have learned along the way that can help people feel more confident when they're kind of thinking? Because, my thing is this: if you already don't have a job in Quebec because there's a language barrier challenges, or you're doing things that you don't like to do, you might as well try to start something that you like to do, because you're not doing anything else anyway, or you're doing very little of what you like to do. So why not take a chance with some of the spare time you have to build on something that you like to do? And at Quebec City Reading Council, we do workshops on, how to start a website, how to start a blog, how to do branding. So people can get this information for free. But can you give us kind of some tips or some idea of what you think people should do if they want to try to get this going and started?
Awesome. So if you're English speaking and you live in Quebec, you can literally do anything online. You don't limit yourself to the region. If the region doesn't like your product, You can always launch it in Ontario. You can launch it Canada-wide. You can launch it US-wide. I'm just still on one continent. And how can you do that? In terms of branding, you have free social media platforms. It's completely free. You build your following, you build your influence, and once you have your influence, then now you can monetize it. Don't go online and think, tomorrow morning I'm going to have 10 orders for my amazing jam, strawberry jam. It's not going to work that way. And if you do have any orders, 5 of them will be from your family, so it doesn't count, sadly to say. They are supporting you, but they will not support you 12 months a year.
Well,
and
no, that's it.
You have to start with setting up a plan. What's your plan? What's your end goal? What's your result? For me, it's freedom of my time. Freedom of my time and being able to do what I want to do. So you ask yourself this question. What can I do? Look within yourself. You can influence something, anything. You can influence it. And in today's world, you can make money out of that influence. Can you bake cakes? Well, there's some people who either want to learn how to bake cakes, or they want to learn where you bought the items, or you can provide the ingredients for the cake. Like, look at it bit by bit. What is it that you can do? What is it that they say you can do? So, and then begin to build your brand. And I work with women, like I said. Men are welcome, but my preference is women. Sorry to sound sexist.
Well, no, because, and especially in Quebec, you know, in my experience being in Quebec City, a lot of partners who have moved here for love or military or, you know, different other reasons, but a lot of it is women who are looking for work. And so we talk about that as well, how it is challenging for moms, for women, and that's why I'm talking to you, because I think you have some really great advice for them. And I think it's harder for women. You know, we have to work 10 times harder to be taken more seriously. It takes a lot more work to get paid the same way. But you're absolutely right. There is internet. There are free programs out the wazoo right now. You taught me something on Canva, which is one of my most favorite free programs on the planet. And you showed me how to do something. I'm like, how come I didn't know that? Why don't I know that? But you're absolutely right in saying, don't think that you just have to do what's in your community. Don't think you have to go find a 9-to-5 job. The internet has opened you up globally, where you can literally do anything and work anywhere, right?
Yep.
So, I could talk about this topic all day, and I really want to talk about it all day. Seriously, I do. But I have to end it. But I want people to know how they can get in touch with you. Tell me what your IG is. Tell me what your Facebook is. And then, so if someone wants to talk to you or connect with you or work with you, they can do that.
I'm everywhere as Thabi Nyoni. That was intentional. I intentionally branded myself as myself.
Which is actually a perfect thing to do. Yes, I say that all the time.
And my main platform is Instagram, because it opens up a lot of possibilities. And then from there, you create funnels. We'll have to have a whole other live just to talk about funnels and how to get people in. Tomorrow, if any social media platform shuts down, you don't wanna, if the social media platform shuts down and you didn't have all your customers on your own platform, that means you've shut down your business because you relied on somebody else. So you want to make sure that you're capturing your customers as they come in. And I can talk about that all day long. So send me an email. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about what you need. Tell me where you want to go. And I can sit down. I literally sit down with you and I come up with a concept for your business. And we work through it.
That's excellent. Again, her name is Thabi Nyoni. I'll make sure I put her name on the video. It is on the QCRC Facebook page, all of our social media outlets. And you know, it's so interesting that you just mentioned about making sure you have your domain name and that you purchase it, because I talked about that in my 2 webinars ago about if social media shuts down, they own you. So you're gone if Facebook goes down or Instagram goes down. But once you purchase your own domain and have your own website, you own it. And that's what you want to do to keep your business going. Thabi, this conversation has been so enlightening. You're such an interesting person. I am so proud of you. You know, I hope we get to work together and talk more about this in the future. Maybe we'll do another subject. Like, well, let's talk about funnels next time, right?
Yeah.
Because we could talk about it all day. We could literally talk about I had like 100 questions here, and like, you know, it's impossible. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Please, Thabi Nyoni, she's on IG, she's on Facebook, she's got her own website, and all you got to do is type in her name in Google, and she will contact you. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This is our last session for May, and this will be on QCRC's Facebook. We'll spread it around so everybody can see about it. Thanks, Thabi. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.